Welcome, everyone, and a warm welcome to our webinar Beyond Tolerance Building a Culture of Inclusivity and a Peace in South Asia. I'm your host, Heman from South Asia Research Institute for Minorities, an organization dedicated to advocating for the rights of marginalized minority communities in South Asia and beyond. Moved by this topic, but before we dive into it further, let's take a moment to reflect on the stark realities we faced in today's world. In alone 2023, conflict and violence led to over 69 displacements in South Asia, with more than 97% of them resulting from the violence in Manipur, according to the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center. Just this February, the media reported 10 communal riots in India, which resulted in 6 deaths, over 150 injuries, as documented by the Center for Study of Society and Circularism. These numbers are not just statistics. They are the urgent reminders of why moving beyond mere tolerance to genuine inclusivity is not just important, but it is essential, absolutely. Today, we are not here to just talk about tolerating differences. We are here to explore how we can build a culture rooted in inclusion, empathy, and lasting peace. And I could not ask for a more thoughtful and inspiring panel to help us to do that. Just let me introduce our esteemed speaker, each of whom brings a unique and powerful perspective to this timely conversation. First up, we have Ms. Sunita Vishwanath. She is an executive director of Hindus for Human Rights. Ms. Sunita is a tireless advocate for pluralism and justice, known for bringing together diverse communities to celebrate shared values and promote human rights. And her work also emphasizes the importance of inclusive Hinduism and resisting stressism. I'm thrilled to welcome her today. Welcome, Ms. Sunita. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Namaste, salam, and peace to each and every one of you. And thank you to SARIM for convening this gathering at such a difficult and fragile time. We meet today not in abstraction, but during a fragile, but what we hope and pray is a lasting ceasefire after a 4-day conflict between India and Pakistan, and the actual death toll of which is still being assessed. A ceasefire that some news and social media accounts are claiming that has already been several times violated by both sides. The conflict between our two countries is sadly all too familiar, and life in Kashmir, the disputed region that is the reason for and the site of much of the conflict, is growing more dangerous by the hour. But amid the drums of war, people across South Asia, across caste and class and religion and border, are raising their voices to say no more war and no more bloodshed. I join you today as someone whose life and work are rooted in a vision of shared humanity. At my organization, Hindus for Human Rights, we draw from the deepest ethical traditions of Hinduism: ahimsa, that's non-violence, non-harm; satya, truth; and seva, altruistic service, to guide our advocacy for justice and peace. These are not just poetic concepts. These are urgent practices, especially now, and especially for our most vulnerable. While our governments conduct war, ordinary people on all sides of the border are calling for peace. We must choose peace at all costs. The alternative, especially considering that both India and Pakistan are nuclear nations, is a nightmare. We cannot even, our minds, our hearts cannot imagine the devastation, the nightmare of the alternative. We must avoid it at all costs. This webinar's title, Beyond Tolerance, reminds us that mere coexistence is not enough. Tolerance is often fragile. It can be withdrawn the moment power shifts. What South Asia needs, especially in this moment of extreme crisis, is not passive tolerance, but active solidarity. A culture where differences are not merely endured, but respected. Where peace is not just a tense pause in bombing, though an end to the bombing is certainly very, very welcome, but the presence of justice. And Just a few days ago, I was in the mass annual meeting of Jewish Voice for Peace in Baltimore, where 2,200 people, mostly Jews, came together to strategize, dream, pray for the liberation of Palestine. And one of the mantras in that conference was that love is the political version of solidarity. Just such a beautiful, beautiful notion. And we need that. We need that mantra for our movements for peace. We are told that Kashmir is a complicated place where conflict has existed for thousands of years. We are told that the conflict between India and Pakistan is complicated. But there is nothing complicated about the urgent need for a negotiated resolution that ensures all in the region, especially Kashmiris, who face the brunt of this conflict, live dignified and peaceful lives. We are told that Kashmir is complicated because the powers that be want to confront the simple truth. Confronting that truth would mean to stop choosing nationalism, majoritarianism, and militarism. Whether it's Hindutva in India, Sinhalese Buddhist supremacy in Sri Lanka, Islamist ethno-nationalism in Pakistan, or Buddhist militarism in Myanmar, these are not accidents. These are choices. And we must all choose differently. We must see each other not as enemies, but as each other's family. Hindus for Human Rights works in the Hindu community to bring about such a culture of oneness and unity. Our work is so hard because our opponents, our particular extremists, the Hindutva ideologues and extremists, have been so successful in spreading a fear so that our community feels that we are under attack and we must mobilize to fight back. That memo has reached everybody, including the young, including the religious community, including the political community. People feel so afraid that they have drunk in this frenzied message of Hindutva. And when something like the attack of April 22nd happens, there is a resulting bloodthirst. And I see it in my own community, but it is a result of lies. It's a result of shielding from the truth. And it is a result of being told that we are not each other's family. And our very religion has all the teachings that are necessary to counter this hate. My Hinduism teaches us we are not just connected to each other. The divine exists equally and identically in you and me, and it doesn't even matter who you are. What more do we need to arm us for a movement for peace and unity and love? There is no other when you believe that God exists equally in you and me. And so in Hindus for Human Rights and in my own personal journey, we lean into such teachings, and we, from there, build out a movement of oneness. And there's a huge, long legacy of exactly such movements of love. And we should lean into that history, and we all have it. We all have such legacy. So voices like ours, voices of radical love, matter. We must speak out not only against war, but against the systems that lead us there. Dehumanization, scapegoating, silence. We must center those that are most vulnerable: Kashmiris, Dalits, Adivasis, religious minorities, women, children, queer people, workers, the poor, the displaced, the silenced. We must invest in movements across South Asia and its diasporas that are fighting for pluralism, human rights, and liberation. We must hold our own communities accountable. As members of the South Asian diaspora, we are often complicit, funding supremacist ideologies, promoting nationalist mythologies, or ignoring violence because it happens over there. But there is us. And if we are not for justice across borders, then we are not for justice at all. This region has always had voices of peace, and that's the legacy I was talking about, from the Bhakti and Sufi poets to Gandhi and Ambedkar and Badshah Khan. Today, our task is to carry that torch forward, to build networks of cross-border solidarity and love, to choose listening over escalation, reconciliation over revenge. When we feel this oneness that comes from the core teachings of all our religions, there is no other. Let us reject that notion of other and embrace each other. It's simple. And it's the hardest thing, especially in the face of the hate mongering that all of our communities are engaged in. To those fueling this war, we say stop. To those grieving, and we grieve. And so we are not alone. And to each other, we say, sister, brother, we love you, and let us live together in peace. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sunita. Your message could not be more timely. The challenge for the both nations is moving from rhetoric to action and fostering inclusivity, as we say that. And also, your words remind us that inclusion begins with dignity, and true peace comes from challenging the roots of division. As your organization's motto and vision is to stand for the equality, justice, and pluralism, and it opposes all form of discrimination, casteism, Islamophobia, and Hindu nationalism. And it also says true Dharma lies not in the silence, but in standing up for the oppressed. Next, we have, Mr. Irfan Engineer. He's a director of Institute for Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution. Mr. Irfan has played a vital role in promoting peace and harmony in India, particularly in the wake of communal conflict. His work centers on interfaith dialogue and community understanding. Mr. Irfan, you have spent years working on conflict resolution. How do you see the shift from tolerance to inclusivity playing out in communities where tension run high? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Heman, for having me here on this panel. It's very, very important that we are having this conversation. And today is Buddha Purnima. Buddha gave us message of reason, justice, middle path, and compassion. These are the core teachings of Buddhism. In fact, I would say these are not only core teachings of Buddhism, they are also core teachings of Islam, Hinduism, and other religions. So thank you for organizing this and having me on this panel. I wish the panel itself was a bit more inclusive than it is now, because we would have got perspective from various religions, sections of society, various cultures. I would say that human beings are culturally embedded, which means they can make sense of this world only through the culture which they have in mind. Not that they can't overthrow their culture. They can. But somehow those traces of that culture in which they have been born and brought up remain. South Asia has overdominance of religious institutions and religious ideologies, of religious nationalism. Somehow, if you look around in South Asia, the whole ideology of religious nationalism, which came as a response to colonialism, colonial rule, more than 150 years of colonial rule, response to that colonial rule was partly also religious nationalism which prevails. In India, the Hindu nationalism, and all these religious nationalisms talk about exclusion, talk about, on one hand, supremacism of their religion over others, and they want to build their societies based only on one religion and define their religious nationalism on basis of religion, and see other religions, other cultures as threat to their nationalism or to their being. They advocate power, and the ideology of religious nationalism is also of strength, of power, of being a strong nation. India talks about Vishwaguru, Pakistan talks about Naya Pakistan, etc., etc. We see all that. So in India, we have Hindu nationalism, which has emerged as a response to colonial rule 150 years. Of course, we also had secular nationalism, but Hindu nationalism is now on its ascendance, whereas Islamists or ideology of Islamism, that is Islamic power, it prevails in Pakistan. Muslim nationalism, Afghanistan, Islamic Emirate that we have in Afghanistan now. Bangladesh, the whole conflict in Bangladesh at present uh, of Bangladeshi nationalism versus Bengali nationalism, where Bangladeshi nationalism is based on its Islamic foundations, whereas Bengali nationalism is based more on secular Bengali linguistic foundation. We even in Nepal we see rise of a rising demand, a rising movement demanding restoration of monarchy, and which means Hindu state as well, the whole ideology of Hindu state. In Sri Lanka, we have Srihala Buddhism. In Myanmar, we have Buddhism or nationalism defined on basis of Buddhism. So we'll have to combat all these religious nationalism. Is religion a political ideology, or is religion a tool, a means, a guidance to build inclusive societies? There is a civil war in all religions. In Hinduism, Hindutva versus inclusive Hinduism of Ambedkar, Tukaram, Kabir, and many other saints. In Islam, again, we have internal struggle, internal conflict in Islam between Islamists and those who stand for more humble, more inclusive Islam. These ideologies and religious nationalism entail majoritarianism and hegemony of majority community to lead to conflicts. Minorities resist their exclusion. Minorities, majorities as internal enemies of religious nationalism. We should live in religion, but we should live with religion. That's the big difference. In religion, meaning religion is the only reality that we recognize around us. Whereas with religion means religion is part of human society, so are various other sources of our living. We must learn about other religions as well. South Asia is multi-religious, multicultural, multi-linguist, and multi-ethnic. If I take you through all South Asian countries, we'll find in a small state like Manipur, there are 34, with a population of 3 million, there are 34 ethnic communities. Forget about India, forget about other states. So is it true about Afghanistan, Pakistan, and all these internal strifes. No religion or culture is complete, insulated, or fixed code of or way of life. All religions have evolved and are evolving, learning and drawing from other religions, other cultures, and development outside as a response. No religion or culture is completely worthless, as religious supremacists wish to portray, as if other religions are just worthless and should be thrown out. No religion is devoid of any truth. There is some truth in all religions. Mahatma Gandhi, as well as Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, said all religions are true. In fact, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad said that you are not a true Muslim unless you believe that all religions are true. And he quoted from Quranic verses to make his point. All religions are essential for contributing happiness to the followers of those religions, and valuable insights and knowledge, sources of knowledge for all religions and other religions as well. All religions and cultures are internally plural. We don't have any one culture or Islamic culture or one Hindu culture or one Buddhist culture. They're all plural. As it carries influences of other religions and cultures, you have to realize this. Embracing diversity and adopting multiculturalism is the only meaningful way ahead. How do we build inclusive societies? Civil society actions on values of spiritualism, of Sufi Islam, and on Bhakti Hinduism, which were very inclusive approach, which believed that love is the only essence of all religions. Sufi saints have said in their various compositions, and Bhakti saints have said so in all their compositions. They would include and they would be at peace with every human being, irrespective of the religion or culture that they would As society develops, we need renewed understanding, and we need to revisit our religions and make it more relevant to our times, constantly challenging human limitations and understanding the message of and purpose. Muhammad Iqbal call for istihad, renewing of our faith, renewing our understanding of the message revealed to us, which has to, this istihad has to be taken by all religions, not only Islam, but all religions. Swami Vivekananda preached that not only all religions are true, but the essence in all religion is to serve the needy. The spiritual purpose of the religion is to serve all the needy. The same message we get from Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Abul Kalam Azad, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and also Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. We need to learn about our religion from all these great icons, all these great religious leaders, social leaders. There's in society. Religions make us all good human beings. We have to oppose religious extremism and violence in name of religion. Civil society organizations will also have to talk of strengthening SARC. Strengthening reorganization of SARC would mean demilitarization, denuclearization, a visa-free regime wherein people of all countries can be with each other, and there is people-to-people exchange of cultures, knowledge, language, religious understanding, so on and so forth. SARC needs common educational institutions. Our educational institutions need to teach us inclusive approaches and values of all religion. We have to increase regional trade within SARC, and that's how we'll build a peaceful South Asia where we are engaged with each other economically, politically, culturally. What political action do we need? South Asia is a unique region where majority in one country is minority in another country. Muslims are majority in Maldives, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. They are minority in other countries like India and Nepal. So when we think of majoritarianism, we also have to think about our own community, which is a minority in other countries, the repercussions of those actions. So therefore, we need to have a charter of inclusive minorities, an inclusive approach towards minorities. Buddhism, likewise, is majority in Sri Lanka. So whatever majoritarian Buddhism does to Hindu minorities and Christian minorities will have its repercussion on Buddhists in where they are in minority. We have to adhere to common human values, which are also religious values of love and solidarity, along with service to the needy. We all have to accept that all religions are true and all cultures are good for adherents of those cultures. We must be non-judgmental. Buddhism, Jainism, Islam, Hinduism, and all other religions teach us to seek truth and knowledge. Truth can be sought only when there is freedom, political freedom to pursue knowledge, to express freedom to express ourselves. Religions teach us value of equality, dignity of all human beings, and social justice. We need a regime of freedom of religion or beliefs, which should be guaranteed by all countries and all regimes. We should have a charter for SARC countries on freedom of religion or beliefs. Politics should be based for welfare of citizens rather than imposing a particular religion or culture or language on the rest of the population. We need accountable governance through equal opportunity commissions, through indexing inclusiveness in all countries, of all societies. We need educational inclusiveness, where our education should inform us about the plural societies that we have, plural cultures we have, the plural religions that we have, and at the same time include all cultures, all communities. We need accountable and responsible governance structures. We need a peaceful South Asia. We need inclusive South Asia. We need South Asia that accepts all cultures, and we can do it. We all together can build through networks of solidarity, networks of peace across South Asia, and networks for development and trade, for economic development and for trade. Thank you, for having me on this panel.
Yeah, it was too ambitious and it was also too powerful, Mr. Irfan. And thank you very much for reminding us the teachings of every religion. Emphasis on real change happens when community lead the healing and dialogue becomes an action. We are also joined by Mr. Zakir Hossain. He is Chief Executive of Nagorik Uddyog, which is a prominent civil society organization in Bangladesh working to advance human rights, social justice, and inclusive development. Under his leadership, the organization has been deeply involved in empowering marginalized communities, including Dalits and other excluded communities through advocacy, capacity building, and grassroots mobilization. His commitment to equality, dignity, and democratic value continues to make a significant impact in South Asia. Over to you, Mr. Zakir.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to you to invite me. And I'm very happy to see Irfan Bhai after a long time because he helped us to grow a South Asian collective at initial stage. I'm part of the South Asian collectives and we contributed last 7 years in South Asian report on minorities. So it's a great pleasure for me to talk in this important occasion. First of all, the issues is very important that how we can build the culture of inclusivity and peace in South Asia. It's a basic basic statement that we need to discuss every time, and we need to work on that. I would like to start with a statement recently made by the Professor Nicholas. He was invited in our inauguration of the 7th edition of South Asian Collective's South Asian Report on Minorities, just 1 week back. His statement says that exclusion experienced by minorities is neither occasional nor identical, but it is systematic and organized. Divisions fueled by ethnicity, caste, language, and religious run deep across the region, giving rise to hate, suppression, and the segregation. See, South Asia is divided. We divided race, language, religion, ethnicity in many ways. So it is a society, in South Asian society is a diversity. So we need to really realize the diversity first of all. So we live in a diversified population. Diversity is the beauty. But as the previous speaker said, that majoritarian concept is really now taking space. The majoritarian concept, which is not good for us. So this we need to really, first of all, we need to look at the root causes. What are the root causes of this conflict or discrimination or whatever? First of all, indoctrination of hatred that is also rooted in our society, especially the educational institute. Children with hate against belief and practices. In our madrasa and maybe Hindu religion schools taught and teaching sometimes spreading the hatred in different ways. The children grow with the concept of hatred. I can cite an example in Bangladesh. The young boys and girls are mostly go to the madrasa. Why? They are poor. There is no other alternatives to the mainstream schools. So most of the madrasa, they're free of cost education, but other general education is very highly expensive. So poor people would like to send their kids to the madrasa, and it's a residential. So these are the teaching in the residential schools. It's a hatred of other religions. It's not that they don't teach them, inclusivity. So this is the one root causes. How it is affect? Its affect leads to arbitrary physical violence, vandalism, places of worship, loot, and this is the inbuilt in mind. So I talked to the madrasa students. I found that they learn hatred. I think in Indian perspective, also there are a religious group. They also teach them in a hatred. And addressing this, how can we address these issues? By including inclusive content in the curriculum of students, how we can influence the religious school, religious teaching, its inclusiveness, believe in diversity, how to respect others. And reactionary politics, there is a reactionary political and identity politics is spread, and majoritarianism is in the South Asian region. So minority oppression, a news giving rise to the spillover effect on another country's dynamics. If anything happened in West Bengal, that has the spillover effect in Dhaka. So that is one of the root causes. Leads to the forced migration, widespread fake information in social media, violence in the forms of vandalism. It is happening, since long, but recent addition is the social media. Social media spread the hatred, and different issues. That recently, the the news, there are a group that they monitor the fake news. We found that more than 50% are rumor and fake news they are spreading, and AI also making a different type of videos and all these, that is also misguide the young people. They don't understand. It's similar like the real, that real also misguide the young people. How we can address this issue? By promoting media, entertainment, cross-border, and a strong fact-checking mechanism for news outlets. So that is one of the areas that we can work on, that reactionary politics. Then as Irfan Bhai and previous speaker Sunita ji also mentioned, that otherization is the important issues in South Asian otherization. There are others, we and others. So that is the one of the key areas of the root causes of this conflict. The rigidity of national identity, that is also a problem. In Bangladesh, we are very homogeneous nation. You can say that connectivity. So, one part of to go to other part, we can travel within 18 hours. We can, by 18 hours, if we drive, we can go Chittagong hill tracks to Teknaf to Tetulia. We say Tetulia is a border site of India. So it's a very homogeneous country in a sense. The 92% of Muslims, there are less ethnic problems on only Chittagong hill tracks. So only few people lives in Chittagong hill tracks. There are also only 33 million people altogether. So, it is easy to handle this country. It is not like India and Pakistan. Many different ethnic group is there. I don't want to say that Sri Lanka is also different in ethnicity wise, but Nepal there is no minorities. In fact, everybody is majority. Everyone is 20%, 15% or something like that. In minority is not very relevant in case of Nepal, but other countries like South Asian, other countries, we have the minority, we can identify them. When the nationalism and otherization, it leads to disproportionate reservation in public jobs and opportunities for minorities. There is a less minority. In Bangladesh, out of 8.5% or 9%, religious minority fall under the Hindu religion, but out of which there is within 4 different castes, like Shudro, up to Shudro, it could be a 4%. And other around 5% is Dalit, outcast. So they don't have any space. They don't have any opportunities to, no reservation policy. Even in South, Bangladesh is different than Pakistan, India, Nepal, and other countries in South Asia, because we don't have any reservation. We don't have any quota system, not for even the Dalit, Adivasis. Some quotas was in our job and educational institution, but recently it is repealed again. So there is no reservation. Without reservation, the minorities and the higher caste 3-4%, they are getting different opportunities. But people say that, okay, Hindus are in a different spaces, different places. Why do you work for minorities? Because they are getting opportunities and all this. But I said, you should see the Hindu religions, not the homogeneous religions. There is a caste system. There is a differences. Nobody talks about the Dalit issues. So we in Bangladesh, we started the Dalit movement last 1 decade, and now some changes are there, but still need to work further. So these are the root causes we need to work on. That how we can really make the society inclusive. We should build a roadmap. So what would be the roadmap? That is the practical issues that we need to follow. First of all, educate. That we are also doing through our projects and action. Educate the Dalit and the indigenous communities. So education is one of the very important. Educate children from a young age about different religious caste and etc. Because in Bangladesh, even in a very highly dignified institute, if you ask them what are the groups that lives in Chittagong hill tracts, that the say for example the indigenous community, they don't understand. They don't know what other groups are living in the country. So education system, there should be tolerance, there should be understanding. They should come together, and different issues we need to work. Improve curriculum. So we need to include the curriculum that what type of people and how other communities live in this country. So we need to improve the curriculum. Oversee teaching methods. Positive examples like in Kerala, we can identify that Kerala is doing very well, in South Asian context, that there are inclusive education curricula. Entertainment is one of the areas that recently what we are starting in Bangladesh, that, cultural diversity, food diversity, food things. So last 3 years, we are organizing food festival for the indigenous community in the Dhaka city, heart of the Dhaka city. So people know what their food culture. So people are coming every year. 2 days, it's like a food festival. So people are coming. So it's a new invention that we are trying, that people are coming, buying their material goods and food and everything. So it is a cultural event. So this is the one kind of intervention that we are doing in Dalit culture. There is a different type of songs and a different type of cultural activities they perform, but mainstream people do not know that. They are not introduced on that. So we are trying to introduce that type of food culture and cultural, things to present in the mainstreaming community, advertising them. People are coming, media coverage. So that helps. That helps to understand each other. And again, that one of the important issues is enforcement. There are some laws, there is something, but enforcement is very weak. Enforcement is very weak. Take strict action against the perpetrators of hate crimes. That is not happening sometimes. So that is also need to be seriously looked into. Demonstrate zero tolerance, but it is not happening. If you see that, unfortunately, in Bangladesh, it is a very tolerant country. We say secularism and all this. But what happened last 15 years or more than that? That minorities were attacked. Nothing, no cases yet properly prosecuted, no, it's properly handled. So the cases is still pending, no punishment, nothing. So enforcement is very important. If it's not enforcement, then these things again and again, it can commit the crimes. Ensure speedy and objective judicial process is not completely absent. And a positive example in Bangladesh against extremism, in 2005 or 2015, there is some good work happened in Bangladesh, against extremism and all this. Some things we need to eradicate. That's most important. Poverty eradication or poverty reduction, discrimination, that is also very important part. These Adivasis and Dalit are the poorest of the poor. We are fancy slogans that no one leaving behind, but nobody really, the government did not come forward to even identify who are the living behind. And nobody, even government, don't recognize them properly. The recognition and identification is one of the key areas to reduce the poverty, reduction of poverty, eradication of poverty. That is also most important. And in Bangladesh, the recent uprising, student and the people uprising, was based on the, repeal the quota system. That quota system was completely unequal. 55% was reserved somehow for the freedom fighters. But reservation is required for the minorities. That is important. Otherwise, they cannot come. As Ambedkar principles, without reservation, minorities and left behind people cannot come forward. In Calcutta, West Bengal, people are always tell me, when I work for the Dalit and minorities, they say, you see, 30% of Muslims in West Bengal, but only they shared 1.5% in government job. In Bangladesh, altogether, 8.5% of Dalit Hindu people, even including Dalit, but they shared at least 20% of the jobs, even in police forces, And in Dhaka University, you will find a lot of Hindu teachers, but in Jadavpur University, you will find only 2 teachers out of 30% and 8%. So this is also an example of what I'm saying. There is no reservation in West Bengal. And, I when I visit the West Bengal, I try to look at how Muslim people are living. And it is like so filthy way in the Calcutta city. And Murshidabad, last 50 years, last 100 years, there is no university even. Murshidabad and other sites is surrounded by the Muslim community. Nobody really tried to even build a university there. It is the Bengal, Murshidabad, Bengal, Odisha, and Bihar capital city was there. A lot of history is there. Even nobody tries to do that. So the Muslims community are behind. Must be behind in the context if you compare. So I'm not going to compare, but this is the reality that, as I say, there's always a spillover event, neighbor. So that is it. Women's voices in political decision making is one of the key areas that we can engage. Engage cohesive nation building, engaging all different stakeholders, introduce mechanism for ample representative for minorities. Positive example in Indonesia and New Zealand. There is example that we can learn from other countries, that what is the practices is going on. So that type of action through our project, we are doing the same way through our project, minority, indigenous, and Dalit projects that we are, and programs that we are doing through our organization. It is not, my organization is not a commercial NGO. It's more rights-based NGO, human rights, and we are talking about the policy issues and human rights, mobilizing people, access to basic services, and demanding their rights, citizen rights. And even in another example in Bangladesh, that also we need to talk about the Bihari people. Bihari, that Urdu speaking people in Bangladesh. A number of Urdu speaking people, their life also is very hard. They are not even citizens. Interesting thing is, in 1971, after the war, some of their members were allied with the Pakistani army, but unfortunately, they were forced to leave their houses, and they are living in a slum area. It's called, you may heard about the Geneva camp, and other camps are there in that city. But nobody really officially said that you are not citizen in Bangladesh. But they did not get the citizenship rights till 1997. 1997, some of their members went to the Supreme Court and filed a case. Then the Bangladesh government and even I think our court, High Court, they declared that the citizen of Bangladesh. So we are now working to get their civil documents, even a passport, national ID. They are the voter now. Everybody is really now voter. What happened recently is bad thing that 1 month before from Pakistan, their foreign minister came to Bangladesh and meet our foreign secretary. Oh, no, foreign secretary came and have a good meeting with our foreign secretary. Suddenly, our foreign secretary demanded, saying that you should take back the Urdu-speaking people. Unfortunate, even our government senior officer ignorant, completely ignorant. That creates a new problem. So we are going to organize a seminar in the city that why our foreign secretary is saying that it's a standard Pakistani. There are no more standard Pakistani. 1971 and 55 years back, only 2-3% people they born before Bangladesh, like in Pakistan time. They are no more in Pakistani resident. We have the national ID card. They are the voter. Suddenly ignorance that spark again. It's again the people. It's saying that's a Pakistani collaborator or something they're creating. So this is the wrong way. Our senior members of the society, they even do not know what is happening against the minority. Even they are not their citizens. Now our fight is to establish their citizenship rights. That is what we are doing last 10 years. My organization also involved to even if you go to the passport official say, no, where is your address? Address is Geneva. So you are the collaborator, you are the Pakistani. That sort of hate speeches is still going on. So one coroner also campaigning to this hatred. So if we need to work for linguistic minority, we need to work for Dalit, we need to work for the Janajati, that is the indigenous community and all this. That is my organization also trying to improve their life and human rights in our context. Thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Zakir. You did not just talk about Dalits and Adivasis, but covered the part of Bihari people. Most of the people and scholars afraid to talk about it. I must say, quite bold and courageous, Mr. Zakir. And it is also evident that your work on ground shows how transformative community and empowerment can be when rooted in justice and equality. Lastly, we welcome Usman Shamim Siddiqui. He is a Commonwealth Fellow at the University of Stirling, UK, and a PhD scholar at University of Management and Technology, Pakistan. He teaches courses in politics, peace, and conflict studies, and is currently affiliated with the University of Okara, Pakistan. Usman, with your academic and practical background, how do you envision beyond tolerance for the individuals in South Asia? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Heman, for having me on this amazing webinar. I'm really thrilled to share this digital space with such distinguished scholars and practitioners. I am Usman, and I'm from a very small city in Pakistan, Okara, and I teach politics here, and I teach a little bit of how conflict works and how peace should prevail. So, listening to you, Heman, and all the other fellow guests, I've come to a point that like Heman, you just mentioned that there are around 70 displaced ethnic minorities right now, and that figure is too much, and this staggering figure shows that how far we have come from a place where we used to have a certain inclusive ideologies, certain spaces that were called inclusive, but somehow something has happened in the past, and we cannot undo the past, but we can learn from the past as well. So being an academic, and when I deal with situations like these, and when I think about it, I see that being practitioners and being scholars, we are too much focused on policies, and we are made that way because policies are structures, and these structures are profoundly made to sustain certain hegemonic tendencies, like Irfan Saab has just mentioned. So this cultural embeddedness uh, does not stem in the roots of the society. They are there. The policies are there. The structures are there, but because they are not embedded in the roots of the society, they do not prevail, first of all. And if they prevail, they take a longer period of time. And until and we as South Asians, we do not have much time left for the ticking bomb that we are sitting on with regards to the population surge in South Asia. So I think that we have to look deeper, and we have to go beyond structures. We have to go at the grassroots level, and we have to do something with the attitude, how we look at minorities. Like Mr. Irfan suggested, that one state's minority is another state's majority. And that just hit me really hard, because that's us. That's everybody is included, you, me, and everyone in sharing this screen. We're all included in that. And interfaith harmony and interfaith tolerance seems oblivious, maybe unachievable, but this is probably the way the structure wants us to look at it. So I think there is a certain nexus between power and knowledge that is being created around us, that we cannot achieve certain objectives. We as a collective voices, we have a choice to remain silent and sustain this hegemonic discourse that we are dealing with right now, or we counter that with our philosophical counter arguments. So how these identities are constructed, I have a really big problem with the way we have been given meanings to the identities. Certain identities, minorities living in Pakistan are looked upon in a certain manner, and same minorities, when they turn into majority, they look at other minorities with the same lens. Probably the colonial legacy is involved, whatever the case is, but this is something quite disturbing. So so first of all, learning about the fact that identities, whether they are religious or ethnic, they are fluid, they're not constant, they are socially constructed, is the first step in order to look at the problem in a cultural manner. If we have to do something about it, we have to do something about the attitude through which we look at minorities. Being in Pakistan, whether we are in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, or Sri Lanka, we look at let's accept that we look at minorities in a certain manner, and that particular lens has been a colonial legacy, probably, but we have been decolonized for quite a while, and probably we need to decolonize ourselves from our inner selves. And I'm sorry if I'm being too philosophical about it, but this is what's coming into my mind right now. So these fixed identities we need to understand. We need to project that these identities are fluid. These are not constant, and these are not concrete identities, and we can always do something about it. And then what we probably when we destabilize fixed identities, we tend to open a space for dialogue, and we tend to open a space for those dominant discourses to be challenged, basically. So when we challenge these dominant discourses, we come across a space where debate is possible, where know that there is a problem right now. What the problem is, that masses do not understand that there is a problem. Looking at a particular so the reification that is involved, the meanings that are constructed around particular minorities. If we I am actually noting it down for a next research, because I want to look at this problem with the perspective that how important it is to study the way we look at minorities, and where this knowledge comes from, and how we are culturally taking it from our ancestors, and how this is unfolding in front of us, and how we are subconsciously or unconsciously making choices that are probably not good for the minorities, and they are hurtful. So first of all, let's destabilize fixed identities, and then let's deconstruct dominant discourses by so one of the very important thing our other guest Zakir Hossain suggested, that that in order to challenge these dominant discourses, what we need to do is to establish educational spaces. So our universities, our colleges, our schools, it all starts from there. So we have to first probably decolonize our schools and universities and these spaces that are there for us throughout our lives. So this this need for embracing ambiguity and difference is there, but in order to capitalize on that, we must understand that what's at stake. First of all, when we know that there is a problem, we are too occupied in managing our daily lives that we do not really understand first, or if we understand, we overlook, because problems are so real around us that we tend to overlook what's not our problem until it becomes everybody's problem. So this is my take on it. I think that we need to what think tanks and what centers, research centers should do is that they should not just focus on the direct violence and structural violence that is happening with minorities. They need to understand that why this is happening, what okays this structural violence and direct violence. Heyman just mentioned 70 displacements in 2 years. That's quite a lot, and this is quite alarming. So we need to go deeper than that. If we want to make an impact, let's pledge that we need to tackle this menace at a cultural level. Thank you.
Thank you, Usman. It is, quite clear that how voices like yours are reshaping how peace is imagined and practiced. I must say that what a powerful conversation. Ms. Sunita, Mr. Irfan, Mr. Usman, and Mr. Zakir. Thank you very much for bringing your insights, passion, and vision to this conversation. You guys have given us so much to reflect on and act upon. Today, we have learned that building a culture of inclusivity and peace requires more than just tolerance. It demands active engagement, empathy, and commitment to justice. From grassroots initiatives to policy reforms, from interfaith dialogue to youth empowerment, there are many avenues through which we can contribute to this vision. To our audience, remember that our first speaker, Ms. Sunita, said that every small act and a small conversation counts. Mr. Irfan emphasized on how every religion teaches us peace and unity. Mr. Zakir's efforts on to support local peace, to be it a classroom or the curriculum or the education. Mr. Usman gave us his philosophical perspective on minority rights and how every voice matters. Stay connected with organizations like South Asia Research Institute for Minorities, Hindus for Human Rights, or Nagorik of Uddyog, or the Institute of Peace Studies and Conflict Resolution. I believe that together we can create a more inclusive and peaceful South Asia. Once again, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, stay inspired, and hopefully we will see you next time or in the next webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heman. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thanks to all the participants, all the guests. It was really wonderful listening to you guys, and your perspectives are quite enriching. And I'm really glad that I was here. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you.
All panelists. Thank you.